Hi there. In my last video, I had discussed on query builder in Laravel, and that was the first part. And you can take it as a second part. And if you haven't seen that video, you can check that video as well. I will leave the link in the description box. Okay, or you can go to my channel video list. So let's continue with the examples. So first of all, I want to introduce my tables. On these we will be running our queries. The first one is users and second one is the post, and both has a relation on the basis of the user id column. Okay, so currently I have one post only with the user id 9 and I have 4 users. So before I start anything, I want to introduce the query logging. By default, Laravel doesn't provide this feature. So if you want to activate this, then there is a piece of code you have to write on app service provider. In the provider folder, app providers folder, there is app service provider. Okay, and it has a boot method, and the boot method, with the help of the db facade, and it has a listen method. Okay, so every time you run the query, it will listen, and in that function, it takes a function where you can run your logic every time if you run the query builder. Okay, so in this, you pass the query. Okay, so our goal is to log the query we run. So we use the log here, and if anyone hasn't seen my logging video, then can check that out. It was good, I must say. So log info. Okay, and log info on query, we will pass the items to log. One of the query, and second will be the parameter list. Okay, and this will be bindings like this. Okay, so now if we run query, it will log in our log file. So let's check it out. And for this, let's move on to our routes web.php in this familiar route path, and here let's write the query where, or you can say simple find t. We had discussed about find in my last video. Okay, and return users like this. Okay, so let's refresh it, and we are not getting anything. Okay, so let's dive dump here. Null, because with the id 3 we don't have anything. We don't have any user with the id 3. Okay, here we have started with the 4, 6, 7, and 9. So let's pass the 4, and now refresh it, and we got the result. And if we check the our log file in storage log folder, there is a Laravel log, and we logged our query successfully. Okay, select user where id between. Okay, like this. So if you write some query here, so you can debug in your log. It can be very useful. The dd command here I have used, you can directly use here the dd. There is no need to separate it out. And if we refresh on define method, I think it will be working on get. Yes, it is not working on all the function of this query builder, but it will be surely worked on the get. Okay, as we can see. So it dumps the result, and other one is the dump likewise. So here it will not die, but the dump the result only, as you can see. Okay, so you can use on the spot. So for the uniformity, let's use this. Okay, so we were discussing where clauses. So the advanced where clause is we can use the where clause, the subquery as well in where clause. Okay, so uh, the subquery, to use the subquery, okay, we need we can use the two tables in that. So let's say users and select name. Let's close it out. ID, name, okay, and age. And in where clause, uh, let's return the user. Let's return the post with the user ID, with the master user ID. Okay, so in where uh, we can pass the closer function. Okay, okay, so here we need to pass the query like this, and in this query select ID. Let's match the ID. Okay, and from which table? From post. Okay, so you need to define the column also. Where column, we will use in this case in the where column there is a post dot user ID, because we have a user ID column in the post, and users dot ID. Okay, like this, and limit 1. Okay, and uh, if this query returns something, then we need to compare, and let's say as the ID 4, and get the result like this. Okay, so you can write the subquery like this. So if we refresh here, we are not getting anything, because in the post we have the post with the user ID 9. Okay, so let's make it 9, and now if we check it, we still not getting anything. because we need to fetch here user id. Okay, not id. So it will return the user id 9, and if it match uh, with this, then we will get our result. Yes, like this. Okay, so in this way you can run your subquery with the help of the where clause. Okay, the next thing I want to discuss that some databases facilitates to have JSON type columns. Okay, so Laravel provides a way to search or use the where clauses on the JSON columns as well. So you can see in our user table there is a meta info column. Okay, so I'm using the MariaDB. MariaDB supports JSON columns, and MySQL above 5.7 will also supports the JSON columns. Okay, so in the JSON columns, if we have some property, I have some property empty type senior, and some of them are null. Okay, so let's match this empty type junior, and here in select, let's select the emp, the meta info. Okay, and in this where we need to pass the column name. Our column name is the meta info, and is property name. So is the property name is the mp type. Okay, and let's say we have two values here, senior and junior. So let's say junior. Okay, and now if we refresh our page, non column zero, what is the problem here? I think we need to pass the parameter here as well. Yeah, let's refresh it now. It is still not working. Okay, it's a bracket problem. So if we refresh it now, it returns Jagan and ID9 MP type junior. Okay, like this you can query the JSON type also. The next thing I want to discuss the unions. So there is a two type union and union all. Okay, so let's create another set of user. Users one, let's say. Yeah. And db table users. Okay, and in union you have to have a similar uh, number of columns, should be same in the union dataset. Okay, and it has to be compatible with each other so it can merge. Okay, so let's say as we have used the take also, so take one. Okay, so with this query set, we will get the Suraj, the first row, because we are using take one also, take one only, and this result set we are getting Jagan already. So we will have two set if we union these. So let's union, and the union function we will use, and just pass the set like this. Okay, and if we refresh, we'll get two result. One is Jagan, second is Suraj. Okay, so for the sake of using the union all, the difference in between that union all and union all returns all the row, but union removes the duplicates row and only show the distinct row. So if I use the union all here, for example, okay, and in the first set, let's say skip 3. Okay, so the first set, from the first set we will get the Jagan also, and in the second we are getting the Jagan already. Then we will have two Jagan records if we run. So if we refresh, then we are getting two Jagan records. Okay, so union all return the duplicates, but if we use the union here, it will not. Okay, the main difference is duplicacy. Okay, the next important topic is joins. Okay, so joins, there are several type of joins or inner joins. Okay, left joins, right joins. Okay, and cross join. Okay, Lara will support all this type of join. So let's say we have a post table. Uh, we have a post table here, and it has a user ID column. Okay, so we can use directly here. The join is equals to the inner join. Okay, and just name the table. Okay, and its column, so it is the user ID. Okay, and the logical operator equals to, and the column name of main table, users dot id, like this. Okay, so we have a user id 9. If we have a post with the user id 9, then it must return one record because it is matching, and we have already result from the first set is the employee junior, as we are defining the where clause, define the where clause. So refresh JSON and code. There is a problem with the join in the JSON column, so let's remove it. Okay. Users dot id on users id name age meta info. Okay, so there is a ambiguous column it is showing, so we need to mention here the users also, the table areas, user dot, like this, and like this. Yeah, and if we refresh now, we will get our result. Okay, so likewise we can use the left join, right join, and the cross join. So let's use the cross join also. or let's say left join first. Okay, so we will get the four records because it doesn't matter we have any post with that with the user id in the post table or not. Okay, so left join returns all the records of the first table. Okay, and the match record of the second table. So if you refresh, we will get four records. Okay, and likewise the right join. So the right join returns all the records of the second table and the match record of the first table. Then in this case, we will get the only one record. And if we refresh, we will get the one record only. Okay. And in the cross join, we will get the Cartesian rows. Every row of the first record will be cross join with the second with the record of the second table. Okay, so in this case we will get also the four records, 4 into 1. Okay, just multiply. If we had the if we would have the two records, then it will return that 4 into 2, 8 records. So these are the joins you can use. There is another version of this, the subquery join, like where like in a where clause we are using the subquery. We can use here the uh, join sub. Okay, so likewise, so we need to provide here the subquery. So before that, we need to declare here the post. Okay, and let's go to post. Table, and it must be post. Okay, and we need to pass it here. Okay, and the second argument will be the alias name of this subquery. Okay, because we are using subquery, we need alias of that. And the third argument will be the function, and in this function we need to use the join. We need to pass it, and with the join, with the help of the join, okay, with the help of the join, we will declare here the condition users.id. Okay, and equals to post, sorry, p.id, p.user id. Okay, like this. We have some error. Okay, so I forgot to use on join on. Okay, so like this, you can inner join with the with using subquery. Okay, if we refresh it, we'll get one record because we have only one record in post table, and that is the ID with user 9. Okay. Sometimes we need to run the raw statement. The raw statement, I mean, till now we are using the Laravel syntaxes. So if you want to uh, write the statement like this, select name as full name, okay, and age as original age, then you have to use the raw statement, select raw. Okay, so if you run this, then you will get the result like this: full name, original age. Okay, so most of the statement has a raw version also, like select raw, okay, where raw, like this. So age equals to 25. Okay, so you can run here, then you will get the record with the age for 25, or you can pass the placeholder also, like this. Okay, so using the raw statement, you can write the raw statement uh, in the query builder, but you must avoid it the most of time because of the SQL injection reasons. Okay, the next clause I want to share with you is the conditional. Okay, sometimes let's say suppose you have a user ID, okay, and it maybe exist or not. So for this, you need to write some PHP code in if and like if condition, and you have to put your query in that conditions. So you can write with the help of the query builder also. Suppose we have the ID 4, okay, and if the ID is present, then in this case we use the when instead of where. Okay, when ID is present, okay, then we want to use this closure function. Query the first parameter and the second parameter will be ID. Okay, and in this query and where, okay, ID equals to ID. So if we run this, we will get the first record Suraj here with the ID 4 because it has ID 4, and if we refresh it, we'll get this record, okay, Suraj. But if ID is not present, let's suppose it is null, then it will return all the records. But if you don't want to return all the records, so you can pass also the third parameter. The third parameter can be a closure function like this we have defined here. Okay, so in this you don't need to provide the ID field. Let's say suppose if ID is present, okay, then it must return the record with that ID. Okay, if ID is not present, in this case it will return the ID, the record with the user ID 9. So if we refresh, we'll get the record with the user ID 9. Okay, like this, you can avoid the if conditions in the code. You can manage it with the help of the query builder as well. Okay, so these are the clauses, where clauses. Okay, and these are the different type of methods to retrieving the data from the DB. So to insert and so let's move on to the insert, update, and delete quickly. For this, I will use the post table. Okay, so there is a insert command. So in the insert command, you can insert any number of rows. Okay, so you have to pass in the array of array. So if you want to insert the multiple records, and if you want to insert the single command, then you can pass the single array. So in the post table, as you can see, the body user ID is a must and the other one can be null. So we have to pass the user ID like this. Let's say 4, and body new post like this. And likewise you can insert here the multiple row. New post 2, new post 3, and if you run it, then let's check it out. Check out here, and we have the records in the post table. Okay, with the help of the insert command, you can insert the rows, insert the data, the table. Okay, so for the single record, you can pass as it is as a single array in that. This, let's say 4, new post 4, and if we refresh, expected. Okay, there is a comma problem, and if we refresh, and let's check it out here, and we have inserted this command. Okay, we require two fields, user ID and body, and if we miss it and or provide the wrong value of the user ID, then we will get an error. Okay, cannot add update foreign key constant because we don't have a user ID 14 in the user table. So to avoid this problem, you can use insert or ignore. Okay, in the case of error, it will ignore the insertion. In the case of MySQL error only, not a syntactical error, mind it. And if you refresh, then we are not we don't have any new records because user ID doesn't exist. The 14, and if we insert with the user ID 9 and refresh, and now we have the record. Okay, so it is a very useful method, insert or ignore. The other one is sometimes we need the ID as well, the inserted data ID. So for this, insert get ID command like this. Okay, and if we dump here the post and run it, So refresh, let's say post 5. Okay, and refresh it. It returns the ID, the 51. And if you check it in the database, and we get this. Okay, so these are the variant of insert. Okay, so let's move on to the update command. So in the update command, we update the data with the help of the update, and it takes the where clause. So like in MySQL, which record you want to update. So where, uh, let's say ID 51. Okay, and I want to update the body 5 to 51, and if we refresh it, it will get updated. And it also returns the true and false, and it update and affected rows it returns. The affected row is 1. Okay, and we have successfully updated. So with the help of the update command, we can update the data. The one more variant of this, update or insert. Sometime we are updating the data and it does not exist, so and we want to insert it, then in that case we can use the update or insert. So it takes the two parameter. Basically, the first parameter will act as a where command for the normal update. Okay, and the second parameter will act as the update body latest post, let's say. Okay, we are passing the two set of array. So likewise, the in a normal update, we have the let's remove it. Okay, uh, we had the where. Okay, so first set of the array will act as an where, and second set of array will update this value to this. Okay, if it exists, and if it is not exist with this set of value, then it will merge the both array and insert that in the table. Okay, so in this case we don't have the latest post with the user id 9 in our table currently, so it will insert. Okay, so let's run it. Returns true means we have successfully inserted. Okay, so it merges, and the last value it overrides the latest post. Okay, so let's update with the latest post, this new post 51 here. Okay, now we have the record with the user id 9 and new post 51 here. We have two records, but it will consider only one. Okay, and in that case it will update the body with the latest post. So let's run it, and we check it out. It has been updated. Okay, with the latest post. So it is very useful in that case you want to update or insert the data in the single command. So okay, the next thing I want to share with you is the delete. Wait, delete. take the where command. If you don't uh, give the where command with the delete, then it will truncate your table. So be careful. Like this, it's a simple command, nothing fancy in that. And if you refresh, it runs successfully. Okay, so like this, so it's a CRUD operation. I have almost completed all the aspect uh, of all the clauses in this query builder, for this query builder. So you can check it out my first part also, so you can have an idea to use the query builder. So thank you for joining us.